Former President Donald Trump is expected to host the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban at Mar-a-Lago today after the NATO summit in Washington wraps up. That's according to Bloomberg. Their meeting comes less than 1 week after Orban met with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Moscow. He also recently held meetings with China's Xi Jinping and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelenskyy. CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi is in Palm Beach following this for us. Okay, let's start with this kind of unusual meeting. What can you tell us about the relationship between Orban and Trump?
Well, Anne-Marie, the two have a very close, very chummy relationship. Donald Trump often talks about the Hungarian prime minister in speeches, saying that he's one of his favorite world leaders, and repeating something that Orban told him, which is that, quote, if Donald Trump were president, none of these issues across the world, the war in Ukraine, any of the issues you're seeing would be happening. So they have a very close relationship, but it's also the second time that Orban would be visiting Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago in the last several months. He was there in March, and they had a big reception and a big party. This is all coming at a very precarious moment. World leaders were just in Washington for the NATO summit, and as you mentioned, the week before that, Viktor Orban was in Russia meeting with Vladimir Putin. This calls to questions, Donald Trump's positions on the war in Ukraine. He often says that he can end it within 24 hours, but it's unclear what concessions Trump would give to Putin to achieve that end to all those means. So it is interesting that they're meeting. It's something we're keeping a watchful eye on, and of course it's coming on the tail end of NATO with a lot of big announcements coming out there about how to protect Ukrainian sovereignty.
Right. Oh, in the meantime now, Trump is distancing himself again from Project 2025. In a post, he said, in part, I know nothing about Project 2025. I have not seen it, have no idea who is in charge of it, and unlike our very well-received Republican platform, had nothing to do with it. All right. So, I mean, everyone's talking about Project 2025, so it would be surprising if he knows nothing about it. This is the blueprint for the next Republican president, put together by a group of conservative groups. Why would he be shying away? What sort of challenges is Project 2025 creating for him?
Well, look, Project 2025 has been created by the Heritage Foundation. It's created by former Trump officials and people who run in conservative circles in Washington. And what it is, it's a set of policies, personnel, and executive orders that if Donald Trump were to win the presidency again, on day one, stepping into the Oval Office, he would have a stack of papers and people he could hire that could carry out a conservative agenda. But the problem is that a lot of this agenda has been, there's a lot of input into it from all people, and it doesn't always reflect what Donald Trump thinks. And of course, Democrats have seized on Project 2025 and said, here's the laundry list of things that Trump would do if he's back in office, one of those things being a national abortion ban. Donald Trump has said several times he does not want to sign a national abortion ban, saying he wants it to go to the states. But, he's had to distance himself the second time in recent weeks. And if you know anything about Trump covering this campaign, he has the final say on all policies. So I suspect that people like the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 trying to speak for him and give these policy proposals. He wants to put an end to it and make sure people know they're electing him, they're getting his policies, not something you're going to get from Project 2025.
All right. Olivia Rinaldi, thank you very much. The Republican National Convention is just around the corner. Our CBS News America Decides live coverage starts Monday at 5 Eastern. On CBS News 24/7, you can also download the free CBS News app for all your latest updates.